This week's 1044 is brought to you by Chevron Delo 600 ADF Ultra Low Ash Diesel Engine Oil. It's time to kick some ash. We're rounding the corner into summer, which is traditionally a peak season for trucking, but it isn't looking quite so peak this year. Hey everybody, welcome to the 1044, a weekly webisode from the editors here at CCJ. I'm Jason Cannon, and my co-host on the other side is Matt Cole. The otherwise highly lucrative peak season, which is traditional in trucking to be August to October, is experiencing a new low, and the situation doesn't really seem to be getting a lot better. Produce season, which is generally a hot time for reefer carriers, has really fizzled this year. We're almost at July the 4th, which is kind of the traditional peak, and reefer volumes are down substantially thanks in large part to nationwide heat waves. Truckloads of produce from California are at their lowest volume in 7 years, according to DAT.
Reefer rates that at times are just on par with van rates have prompted some reefer carriers to hit the off switch and haul dry van.
Guillermo Garcia, co-founder and CEO of freight dispatch service SmartHop, noted that June, which is typically a good month on the spot market, was anything but good or typical, and that's an early warning flag for the upcoming historically peak season.
And you typically see a lot of activity in the ports, and when you see activity in ports like the LA market, you extrapolate that to what's to come, right? I mean, there's a lot of activity that has some direct correlation with what's about to happen. And on the other hand, you see carriers like FedEx and LTL not hitting the numbers or being slower this year. Well, we're expecting that this peak season coming up is not going to be as strong. And if you have high cost of operation, you didn't provision last year, and you probably won't get paid in the spot market, not only the value and the rate, but the volume in which you were used to. I truly believe that this is going to be way different and way tougher peak season for those that do not have a contract.
Predictors of a freight recession often harken back to 2019 as a reference point for what could lie ahead, but Guillermo was hesitant to make that prediction. While he does expect some similarities, carriers who've married themselves to the spot market are the ones exposed to the softness of peak season, especially those that bought equipment at the peak and are now saddled with massive truck and trailer payments.
Most of our customers, if not all of our customers, mainly live in the spot market. So when you think about that, and we think about rates continuing to go down, we're going to see a lot of small trucking companies going out of business, not even making it to this year's peak season. And we believe that they need to think way different for this year, just in preparation to what's ahead. I don't think you'll be able to survive just staying in the spot market and doing same as past couple of years, and even comparing to pre-pandemic. There's going to be the need for more dedicated, contracted, or doing it differently this year if you want to really survive this year.
One of the biggest complicating factors in trucking right now is an ongoing supply chain disruption that at this point feels unending. But Guillermo says it's not all doom and gloom, and suggested that fleets use these lean times to optimize their operations.
On your top line, it's time for you to know that peak season is not only staying in the spot market and waiting until rates go up. It's time for you to make better relationships with brokers or shippers, understand which is the lane that you're really good at, and then focus on those lanes and focus on those that have the contracts on those lanes, and make sure that you have an ability to do better on your top line when it comes to that peak season. So it's not just about sitting and waiting as maybe last year you did. You sat, you waited, rates went up, and you could still make a lot of money. This peak season, you need to go out and sell yourself. You need to go out and really build those relationships with brokers, with shippers, and make sure that you have the opportunity to perform in that lane, to perform in that area, and do that well. And on your bottom line, I think it's time for everybody also to go back to their vendors, right? I mean, if you're on a lease, if you're in insurance, if you're with a fuel card, whatever that case might be, I think it's time to go back and get real with those vendors and say, hey, I can't continue with this cost of operation. We need to work together. I need X or Y. You can commit maybe to a specific vendor, right? And say, well, you know what? I'll do more gallons with you, or I will invest in that front-facing, back-facing camera for insurance to get a little bit better and for you to lower my cost of operation. So it's time for every carrier to think about our business as a business and making it efficient. And that's not only top line, it's top and bottom line. It's figuring out what can you do and what can your customers and your vendors can commit to do with you in periods like this. But I think it needs to be a mentality moving forward, right? I mean, even on really good days, you need to make sure that you have the right negotiations, you have the right customers, and you're making the right decisions.
Guillermo suggested building a better relationship with a broker, but how do you build a relationship with a business that mostly selects its business partner based on cost? No, it doesn't mean slashing your rates. Guillermo tells us right after this word from 1044 sponsor, Chevron Lubricants.
Protecting your diesel engine and its after-treatment system has traditionally been a double-edged sword. The same engine oil that is so essential to protecting your engine's internal parts is also responsible for 90% of the ash that is clogging up your DPF and upping your fuel and maintenance costs. Outdated industry thinking still sees a trade-off between engine and emission system protection, and Chevron was tired of it. So they spent a decade of R&D developing a no-compromise formulation. Chevron Lubricants developed a new ultra-low ash diesel engine oil that is specifically designed to combat DPF ash clogging. Delo 600 ADF with OmniMax technology cuts sulfate ash by a whopping 60%, which reduces the rate of DPF clogging and extends DPF service life by 2.5 times. And just think what you can do with all the MPGs you're going to add from cutting your number of regens. But Delo 600 ADF isn't just about aftertreatment. It provides complete protection, extending drain intervals by preventing oil breakdown. Before you had to choose between protecting your engine or your aftertreatment system, and now you don't. 600 ADF from Delo with OmniMax technology, it's time to kick some ash.
There's a perception that brokers are taking all the margin for carriers. And I don't like to generalize. There's good and there's bad, definitely across this industry. But I think that the things that will make you as a carrier stand out is to make sure that you're getting on time. So getting on time will improve your relationship, even if you don't talk with that broker. Staying very close with communication, like open communication, every step of the way. I understand that carriers don't like to be tracked, don't like to be bothered by brokers and seeing like step by step. But having an ability to give brokers visibility on what's happening and it doesn't become a black box, that will improve your relationship with the broker. And the brokers, they have good loads, bad loads, good lanes, bad lanes. If you're an additional number for that broker, you can most certainly be sure that you're going to get the worst deals, the worst lanes. They're not going to give way for anything. Brokers have room for negotiation. Brokers give better loads and better dedicated lanes to those that do have good relationships with them. So I can definitely, and I can attest this firsthand, that if you have a good relationship with a broker, you can have a priority when booking. You might have leverage when negotiating that rate. You will get to those lanes that you want. And I'm not saying that every broker is the same, and I'm not saying that this is true for every broker. But if you have that relationship, but also if you execute where the broker says, wow, I mean, I didn't have to call this person. This got delivered on time. I mean, they maintain communication with me. I'm pretty sure that that broker would want to do business again with you and offer you to stay closer to them.
That's it for this week's 1044. You can read more on ccjdigital.com. And as always, you can find the 1044 each week on CCJ's YouTube channel. If you've got questions, comments, criticisms, or feedback, please hit us up at 1044trucking@gmail.com or give us a call at 404-491 1380. Until next week, everybody stay safe and have a happy 4th.